11 games, Derek Carr has the Raiders somewhere they haven't been since 2011, above 500. The Raiders offense dominated the Jets defense in a 34-20 win after winning just 11 games. The past 3 years, the Raiders are one of 5 AFC teams with a winning record. The Jets have now lost 2 in a row and are also 4-3. Stephen A., which of these teams has a better shot at making the playoffs?
Well, I don't think there's any question it's the Oakland Raiders, and I don't even need to take a look at this schedule.
Wow, you surprised me.
I'm surprised myself. I didn't expect them to look like that. Now, obviously, you can be damning against the New York Jets. They got beat up yesterday. Fitzpatrick goes out with the torn labrum in his thumb. Geno Smith comes in relief and immediately gets pummeled, and he's got an abdomen injury and a shoulder injury. He might not be available. The Jets literally were on the phone this morning looking for another quarterback because they desperately need one. Brandon Marshall got injured yesterday as well. So when you look at it from those perspectives, clearly this is an offense that is going to struggle moving forward, and they're 4-3 with Miami on the come-up and Buffalo still relevant within the division. So you've got that issue. Of course, even though the Pittsburgh Steelers lost, they're still 4-4, and they're in a position to make some noise. But when you look at the Oakland Raiders, these brothers are impressive, man. I just got to give it up. I mean, again, they've been a model of ineptitude, if not worse, since they went to the Super Bowl back in 2002 with Rich Gannon and those boys as their quarterback. They've been an absolute embarrassment. I felt that Hugh Jackson should have always maintained their coach. They were 8-8 under him. That's the only time they played 500 ball. Other than those 2 seasons, in the last 12 years or so, the Oakland Raiders haven't won more than 5 games in a season, with the exception of those 2. That's just flat out pathetic. And I was one of those guys that, believed there needed to be wholesale changes. But nevertheless, they are impressive right now. This kid, Murray, can play. Had 113 yards rushing yesterday, averaged better than 5.5 yards a carry. Amari Cooper is a stud. This young brother is special. And Crabtree isn't too bad for these guys either. Let's give credit where credit is due. He looks like a different quarterback now that Colin Kaepernick is not throwing him the ball. I also think it's time to give Jack Del Rio a little bit of love because he seems to be doing a really good job being old school, knowing the game, knowing the opponents the way that he does because he's been around so long, and having a second chance after being a head coach in Jacksonville, after being the defensive coordinator under John Fox in Denver. Now he's there in Oakland, and he's doing a good job thus far. And last but not least, Derek Carr is the best quarterback of his draft class thus far. Better than Blake Bortles, better than Johnny Manziel, better than Teddy Bridgewater. And there needs to be some executives who should answer, particularly Houston, who forbid Bill O'Brien and those guys to take Derek Carr, from what I was told, because of David Carr, his brother, and what a bust he was once upon a time in Houston. They didn't want another Carr. The owner didn't want another Carr coming up in there because he was fearful it was going to embarrass the organization. Well, he messed up there, and he messed up things for Bill O'Brien and the Texans because they could use David Carr right now. In the end, though, I think the Jets have had, defensively, they've had 2 bad halves. First half against against Philadelphia, and then yesterday, of course. Their defense is still elite, but it ain't Denver, and it doesn't look that great now, and your offense isn't good enough for you to recover. The Oakland Raiders, I'm not there yet, but I'm going to give them some love and some credit and acknowledge that this team has a legitimate shot, as you said weeks ago, to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I got to give you props on that.
Skip, it's because of Derek Carr. And it's because of Amari Cooper and Derek Carr in that offense. They can do some things. They can do some things.
But you believed in this team since day one, and I doubted you. I'm not going to lie.
Thank you. You didn't mention the leader of this team, especially the leader of the defense. At 38 years of age, Charles Woodson is playing as great a football as any 38-year-old defensive back.
Heisman Trophy candidate when Peyton Manning, when Peyton Manning was in Tennessee, and here he is in the next millennial, and he's doing what he's doing.
Still doing it.
Unbelievable.
Are you writing your Jets off?
Not yet. Not yet. They just don't look bad. I got to see what happens. What's the status of Fitzpatrick, okay? And I don't know what quarterback they're going to go out there and get, nor do I know how extensive Geno Smith's injuries are. There's a lot of questions right now. The Jets have to have a quarterback, and they have to have both Decker and Brandon Marshall healthy enough to play. I don't know what the status is with Brandon Marshall right now.
I'm going to say this again. The Jets' loss at Oakland was a Tom Brady loss because they went into that game at Foxborough thinking we can do this. We got Darrelle Revis on our side now, and he knows he'll be kryptonite for the great Tom Brady. And he wasn't, and neither was Cromartie, and neither was Buster Screen,
right.
And neither was Todd Bowles. And I think it devastated their psyches to the point they couldn't get back up for this game, because we've seen these plays. I don't know if you've been running them or not. I wasn't looking, but the Tywan Jones play and then the Crabtree play, they just didn't tackle them. Just tackle.
It was embarrassing.
Come on. You just didn't show up. Look at this Tywan Jones.
Look at this. How do you look at one tackle, two misses? 3, 4.
Whoa.
That was
come
nice.
on,
Yes.
Come on
now.
Okay.
That's 4 missed tackles.
And
4 missed tackles.
Crabtree just...
And just look at the angle. I mean, how do you not tackle this guy? Look at this.
Looks like the Giants.
That's nice.
Look at this.
That's
I mean,
nice.
are you kidding me? Look at that.
Come on.
I mean, really?
Didn't want that very badly.
That's just bad. Yeah. That's just bad.
Okay, that's where you just don't show up. Todd Bowles will not let that happen again. They will come to play from here on as they sort of shake themselves off the Tom Brady hangover and all that. And I do think they can win a bunch of their games down the stretch. I don't think they can beat New England even at Jets, but they got the Giants. They have to go to Dallas when Romo should be back, please God. But, you know, and they got to go to Buffalo. So it won't be easy, and I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Now, I told you before the draft, I really like Bryce Petty, but he is a raw rookie who played in a run and shoot at Baylor, and so I don't think, can you throw him into this fire?
I don't think you can yet. I really don't, but I do think he's the future.
Okay.
I do think next year and beyond, you're looking at Bryce Petty even more so than you're looking at Geno Smith.
So I look at the Raiders' schedule, and it's starting to open up, especially if they could win this Sunday at your Steelers, and I give them a shot because Le'Veon Bell, obviously, God bless him, he's gone. And so there'll be a little hangover from that. And Ben was a little rusty through 3 picks, obviously.
Yep.
And I give the Raiders a chance. If they could win that game, then all of a sudden they got Minnesota at Detroit, at Tennessee, Kansas City. They do have to go to Denver. They do have to go to Green Bay, but then they get San Diego and Kansas City to finish. They can win, I don't know, 5 or 6 more of these games. And the team that is going to be the odd team out of this wild card race, I fear, is your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Possibly, but I got to tell you this: I do think the Raiders have a chance to go 10-6.
You do?
I do. I said the Raiders. I said the Raiders.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said the Raiders have a chance to go 10-6. I think Pittsburgh can be nip and tuck with the Jets for that last playoff spot.
All right.
That's how I view it.
But you've seen that closing Pittsburgh schedule after their bye. They go to Seattle, go to Cincinnati. They get the Broncos at home.
I'm banking on Ben Roethlisberger not being as rusty and being a bit healthier moving forward. Now, without Le'Veon Bell, I mean, look, it is what it is. But D'Angelo Williams filled in nicely.
He did. He's a good. Talk about a backup. He's not a backup. He's
really not a backup. He's a starter. But with D'Angelo Williams combined with Martavis Bryant, Marcus Wheaton, Antonio Brown, Heath Miller, I think that especially if they get some help back in their offensive line, you know, and you know, you get a couple of guys, at least one of them that comes back, you know, because obviously Pouncey and other guys out. I just look at Pittsburgh having a chance, but I definitely think that the Raiders have, especially with this schedule, they have a legit chance. And the one that jumps out at me, obviously Tennessee just ain't ready. They ain't there. And the Detroit Lions, we ain't even get into that.
Oh, gosh, that was bad.
Caldwell will be lucky if he has a job in 2 weeks.
You're right. Raiders Nation.
If you're a Raiders fan, right, you have to be very encouraged, just in the future, because this team is so young.
I can't knock them, and I love seeing Crabtree run into the black hole. It was nice to see. I haven't seen that in quite some time.
Yes. Up next, just bad luck. As soon as I saw this news, Stephen A., I thought of you. Reports surface of Andrew Luck dealing with broken ribs, but the team's denying it. Obviously, your Super Bowl pick. What's going on with the Colts? We'll dive into that next.